Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. CR Daredevil bringing you all of the live action here on another episode of Impact in TNA Wrestling in 2014. It is still on the road to Destination X, and of course the big match announced for tonight is Magnus defending the TNA World's Heavyweight Championship against Samoa Joe, the number one contender, after their what seems to be failed attempt at trying to get, trying to have Joe be the segue or the person you have to go up against first in order to get to Magnus. We'll have to see how that plays out, because I gotta imagine there's gonna be some shenanigans involved in that. But we are going to dive into the action with a pre-show bout, dark match, if you will, in which Brittany defeats Madison Eagles in 6:59 by pinfall with a handspring moonsault. 37 rating for the match, 31 from Brittany, 37 from Eagles. They don't seem to click and made for an awkward bout, so they probably would have had better ratings had that not happened. Decent match, kind of what it was there. Trying to continue to feature knockouts in the division, all that kind of thing. In another dark matchup, we have Mr. Anderson defeating Jesse in 8:26 by pinfall with a mic check. 49 rating for the match, 56 from Anderson, 28 from Jesse. Just getting Anderson a win on the dark, in the dark match, getting the crowd kind of ready and fired up for tonight's show. 6,124 people in the Hestand Stadium in Arkansas get to start off this show tonight with a Magnus promo. Magnus comes out with Abyss and nobody else. Well, I guess technically Mickey, but she doesn't actually do anything. Anyway, he comes out and he says that last week he was put into a situation that he did not ask for. He said that he has a master plan here in TNA, and he plans to still be the top force here in TNA, still your world's heavyweight champion, the greatest world's heavyweight champion in TNA history. And Eric Bischoff is trying to throw a wrench in it. Why? He's jealous. Who knows? First they had to deal with MVP, now they're having to deal with Eric Bischoff. Who knows? They're jealous, whatever. They're jealous of the fact that Team Dixie is able to run TNA the way that they should be running it. And he says that the problem with Eric Bischoff's little ultimatum from last week is that it's the weirdest thing. Something happened to Samoa Joe, and he can't make it tonight. He's not here tonight. He's not in the building, and he's not going to make it for tonight's show. He had some sort of emergency. He's like, I wasn't gonna ask what kind of emergency, because Joe's the kind of guy that seems like he would kill you if you try to ask personal questions like that. So it sucks to say, but there's not going to be a TNA World's Heavyweight Championship match tonight, because the number one contender's not here tonight, and you can't have a title match without the number one contender. So sorry, can't happen. That's when Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff, comes out, and he applauds. He actually kind of slow claps a little bit. He's like, you know what, Magnus? Fair. You made up some excuse. Joe's not in the building. You can't claim an injury because you knew that I would have still made you guys wrestle anyway. You can't, claim some sort of sickness or anything like that. So you did the next best thing, and you had Joe just not show up tonight. Legally, I can't take Joe's number one contendership away from him. I can't take his future title shot away from him. So you guys, you did the right thing. You did what you would do to try to avoid having this matchup tonight. The only problem, though, is that the board of directors, the great fans here in TNA, which gets a pop from the crowd, everyone came here expecting a TNA World's Heavyweight Championship match tonight. Now, it is going to suck that we're not going to get Magnus and Samoa Joe. That happens. but there's still going to be a TNA World Heavyweight Championship match tonight. And the crowd starts cheering, and Magnus is like, no, you don't. I don't think you understand how wrestling works. I know you've been around for a while, but you also put a company under, so I don't think you understand how wrestling works. When there's a champion, they only have to defend the title against the number one contender. The number one contender is the one who gets the title shot. You don't just get to randomly give a title shot to Joe Schmo, whoever off the street. You only get to defend the title against the number one contender, and the number one contender's not here. Bischoff goes, you know what? I do know something about wrestling. I've been around here plenty of times, and I know how the number one contendership works. I know how that works, Magnus. I'm not an idiot. But what you don't understand is that there are plenty of other ways to get a title shot, such as the upcoming pay-per-view. The upcoming pay-per-view, Destination X, that historically usually kind of really focuses on the X Division here in TNA. It's a big X Division show. And, historically, it also kind of has a little bit of a feature around it. There's this thing called Option C. And the crowd's like, oh my God, wait, what? And Bischoff is like, yeah, there's other ways to get a title match. So tonight, to kind of hype up Destination X, and to hype up the fact that whoever leaves Destination X as the X Division champion does get to have the option to use Option C and cash it in for a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. To hype that up, we're going to go ahead and have what potentially could be a future TNA World Heavyweight Championship match. As tonight, you're going to defend the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against the current reigning X Division champion, Jay Lethal. The crowd's like, oh yeah. Crowd goes crazy. As it's going to be Magnus and Jay Lethal, champion versus champion, but only one championship is on the line tonight, is the TNA World Heavyweight Championship on the line. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. So Magnus tried to get out of defending the title tonight, had Joe apparently not show up at the building. Well, supposedly Joe has an emergency and can't make it to the building. But Bischoff found a swerve around, and now we get to see Magnus and Jay Lethal tonight. So that'll be a great matchup for sure. Of course, we also have 3 Bound for Glory matches happening tonight. The other one, there is 4 matches happening this week. 3 of them are happening here on Impact. The 4th one is happening on Explosion, which I will show you the Explosion show after Impact here. But we start off the wrestling portion of the show with said Bound for Glory series matchup. And about that had good heat and decent wrestling. Homicide defeats Paul London in 9:38 by pinfall with a cutter to a 65 rating. So Homicide gets himself 3 points in the Bound for Glory series. Paul London coming up short. 61 from London, 60 from Homicide. Lack of psychology between these two, but that's whatever. Nevertheless, good back and forth contest here that leads to Homicide picking up some points in the Bound for Glory series. So we'll have to see where things lead with that. After that, we have Brian Kendrick, who has a promo. He's still holding the X Division Championship on his shoulder. And he says that as the X Division champion, he has no problem cashing in Option C and getting a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship after Destination X. He says that he is gladly going to take that opportunity to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And then before he's able to say anything else, he gets cut off by a clearing of a throat. And the camera kind of pans over a bit, and it reveals that it's MVP standing there. And MVP goes, you're not the reigning X Division champion. In fact, We heard who the reigning X Division champion is just a little bit ago, because he's the one getting the title shot later tonight. He's the one getting the shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. It's Jay Lethal. You think just because you took the championship that makes you the champion, but that's not how that works. However, at Destination X, the X Division champion, well, Destination X, whoever leaves Destination X has the opportunity, or whoever leaves Destination X as the X Division champion has the opportunity to cash in option C. But, it's funny. You're acting as if just grabbing the championship is a way to be the champion in this scenario. But at Destination X, you will have to grab the championship to become the champion. Because at Destination X, to determine who even gets the opportunity to cash in option C, we're going to have ourselves a multi-man Ultimate X match. The crowd's going crazy. And this is backstage, but the crowd's still going crazy anyway. So it's crowd's going crazy, and MVP goes, it's going to be Jay Lethal defending his X Division championship in that match against you, Brian Kendrick. And, opponents that you don't need to worry about right now. And he walks off, and Kendrick looks very pissed off. And he goes storming after MVP. You can hear him shouting out, like, who else am I facing? Who else do I have to defend the title against? He's shouting out all these things as the segment ends. So, not only do we find out the option C is coming back this year, but we're finding out that in order to figure out who gets the opportunity for option C, who gets the opportunity to become the X Division champion, they're going to have to survive a multi-man Ultimate X match at Destination X. Should be crazy, should be chaotic, should be fun. After that 64 rated segment, we move on to what is being labeled as a qualifier for said X Division champion, or for said Ultimate X match. In a decent matchup, DJZ picks up the victory over Colt Cabana in 640 by pinfall with a Filipino destroyer after Low Key ran in and attacked Colt Cabana. Not sure why. There's been some slight issue. There's been a couple of minor issues with them recently, but I'm not sure why that happened. Nevertheless, Low Key came in, attacked Colt Cabana, and DJZ picks up the victory. So DJZ is in the X Division Championship match at Destination X. So as of right now, it's Jay Lethal, Brian Kendrick, and DJZ. We don't know how many other people are in it. We don't know who else is in it, but we know those three at least. So it should be kind of crazy. 66 rated matchup, by the way. Good rated matchup there. 60 from Cabana, 55 from DJZ, and there you go. We'll have to see what's going on between Colt Cabana and Low Key in the future, I guess. After that, we get the American Wolves backstage in a pre-taped video where they say that they had probably one of their best matches ever at Slammiversary against the Bad Influence. They had an amazing matchup with those two men. A match that easily could go down in the record books as one of the best tag team matches in TNA history. And Bad Influence doesn't like the fact that they lost. Fine, understandable. If the Wolves lost, they wouldn't have liked the fact that they lost either. But a lot of times, when you have something so great, you don't usually want to repeat it. You don't usually want to see it happen again. However, if Bad Influence is so set on having it happen again, then they're going to have it happen in the way that they want it to happen. And then the Wolves just walk off. So don't know what that means. The title match seems to be on, but we don't know how it's on. Not sure, but the Wolves are kind of leaving it out there, but they're saying that if it's going to happen, if the title match is going to happen, it's going to happen the way that they want it to happen. So, not sure what that means, but we'll have to see. After that, in another Bound for Glory series matchup, as we continue to have matches that have lack of psychology, fun. In a good matchup, Johnny Impact defeats Bobby Lashley in 903 by pinfall to Moonlight Drive. 74 rated matchup. That's a great match there. 73 from Impact, 60 from Bobby Lashley. Gained heat for the Bound for Glory series storyline. Essentially, it's just the storyline I have involving all 12 men. There's not really a story behind it. It's just covering it all in the series. But they have great chemistry with each other, Lashley and Impact, so that's kind of good to know. May have to consider a potential feud for them in the future after the Bound for Glory series, maybe. Or, if they don't win it, maybe they end up developing a rivalry out of this. I don't know. Nevertheless, great matchup here. 74 rating. Johnny Impact picking up 3 points for himself in this series. So, pretty good stuff there. After that, we get Jeff Hardy with this pre-taped promo somewhere in some weird area. It's got all these like weird neon lights going on and like a bunch of artistic stuff kind of all over the walls. It looks like it's right up Jeff Hardy's alley. And he says that last week the 6-man tag match did not go as planned, obviously. They did not pick up the victory, and then it kind of got left played out. But if Jeff Hardy knows anything in his many years in the business, he knows that all you can do is just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and live to fight another day. And he's here to fight another day. He says that he is going to keep on the fight against Team Dixie. He's not giving up on that. He knows he lost to Samoa Joe, and in the future, they're going to have their rematch. They're going to have a rematch between the two men. But for now, he'll let Joe do whatever Joe wants to do. Instead, he's got a problem with another member of Team Dixie. He's got a problem with Abyss. He says that last week, Abyss kept beating him down, all that stuff. And he says that if he wants to continue to be controlled by Magnus, if he wants to continue to be Magnus's little puppet, little slave, little he even flat out says little bitch, then fine. If he wants to keep doing that, fine. That's fine. But Jeff Hardy's coming for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And if he can't get his hands on Samoa Joe right now, he'll get his hands on the champion's quote-unquote bodyguard. So next week, he's throwing out the challenge. One-on-one, Abyss and Jeff Hardy. We'll have to see if that ends up being a thing, but if it does, that's going to be crazy. Gotta imagine that those two are going to have a heck of a matchup for sure. 71 rated segment here. After that, we get a match featuring Melina Perez defeating Angelina Love in 8:45 by pinfall with a leg trap sunset bomb. Angelina Love looked like she was in control throughout most of the matchup, but then Katarina came out from the back and distracted her, and Melina was able to pick up the victory. So she has a victory over somebody who's had a recent shot at the Knockouts Championship ahead of what potentially would be a shot at the Knockouts Championship herself against Mickie James. So we'll have to see how things play out there. We don't see Mickie show up for this, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. 47 rated matchup, 53 from Love, 36 from Melina Perez. That's I was hoping a little bit better than that. That might be a little rough, but that's whatever. Anyway, the storyline there, though, is that Angelina Love got distracted by Katarina as that whole thing continues at this point. After that, we go backstage and we see Chris Sabin on the phone with someone. We don't know who it is yet. He's on the phone with somebody. And he's kind of talking to them a little bit. And then he ends up, towards the end of the call, ends up saying, so I'll see you next week, right? You'll be here next week. And then he gets excited. He's like, yeah, all right, awesome. Next week you're going to be here. TNA's not going to know what hit him. It's going to be awesome. And he hangs up the phone, and he turns around, and he sees the camera. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? He walks off. So Sabin apparently has a prize for next week. Not sure what it is. We'll have to see. 71 rated segment, though. Pretty good stuff. Velvet Sky apparently helped Chris Sabin during the segment, despite the fact that she wasn't there. Why not? After that, we get a bit of a surprise as Ec3 and Rockstar Spud come out, and they have some things to say. Well, Ec3 has some things to say, that is. He says that he has been looking out for his aunt's best interest for a long time now, and last week he was able to help his team pick up the victory over that no-good bully and his supposed friends. And he says that he's had issue. He knows that Bully has been hunting him down. Bully's been hunting him down ever since what he did weeks ago at this point, attacking him after his match. He says if Bully wants a piece of EC3, he can come out right now. He can come out right now and fight him. So Bully Ray comes out. And Ray comes out and he's like, all right, let's have a match. And EC3 is like, whoa. I didn't mean like right now. You know, I don't know if I'm ready. You know, and Bully's, well, you did just say you wanted to fight right now. EC3 is like, well, you know, maybe you'll you know what? Fine. You wanna come fight me? Fine. You come down here and you fight me and Spud. 2-on-1. Let's go. Right here, right now. Let's go. And Bully's like, well, you know, I don't mind fighting those odds, but let's make this a little more fair. And everybody's like, what's going on? And all of a sudden you hear the all too familiar music of Team 3D, and out from the back comes Bully Ray's infamous tag team partner, Brother Devon. Crowd's going crazy as Brother Devon comes and joins Bully Ray. The two men walk down to the ring, and it looks like we're going to have ourselves a tag team matchup. 57 rating here. Match itself gets a 71 as Team 3D defeat Rockstar Spud and EC3 in 12:36 when Ray pins EC3 with a 3D. Or after the 3D, that is. 71 rating there. 57 from EC3, 52 from Spud, 63 from Devin, Brother Devin, I guess. I gotta make sure I'm calling him Devin. Devon, Devin, whatever. And 71 from Bully Ray. Obviously, Team 3D have great chemistry teaming together. But yeah, 71 rating for the match as Team 3D is able to pick up the victory, including Bully Ray actually getting the pinfall on EC3, who is a participant in the Bound for Glory series, so that's kind of a big deal. But yeah, 71 rated matchup here. As I'm not sure why that didn't continue the storyline, but whatever. I mean, EC3 is in the Bound for Glory series storyline, but Rockstar Spud should still be in the Power storyline, the Team Dixie storyline, as Bully Ray too. Whatever. Anyway, Team 3D gets the victory there. I'll have to look at that afterwards, but big victory there. Good rating for the match. And we move on. We get Jay Lethal, the X Division champion. He has a quick promo before his title match tonight. He talks about Brian Kendrick stealing the X Division championship and about how he can have that championship right now if he wants to, but everybody knows that Jay Lethal is the X Division champion, and that at Destination X, it does not matter how many people get put into that Ultimate X match, Jay Lethal will still leave the X Division champion. But tonight he's got to focus, because tonight's not about the X Division Championship. Tonight is about the World's Heavyweight Championship. Tonight is about Jay Lethal becoming a double champion here in TNA. It is about him getting his opportunity to shine when the spotlight is on him and become the new TNA World's Heavyweight Champion. And then he, kind of ties things back to his old gimmick here in TNA when he says, "Can you dig it?" And then he leaves. So, Lethal's all fired up, ready for his matchup for the World's Heavyweight Championship, which gets to 68. And that's not bad. As About the Head Good Heat and Decent Wrestling, Magnus defeats Jay Lethal in 12:20 by pinfall with a tormentum after Samoa Joe ran in and attacked Jay Lethal. So it turns out Samoa Joe wasn't gone all night. He shows up in the title match, and he attacks Jay Lethal. Magnus makes defense number 6 of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in this process. So 70 for Magnus, 52 from Jay Lethal, as clearly Magnus and Team Dixie had another plan in mind that worked out for them, as Magnus is still your TNA World Heavyweight Champion. When's it going to end? When is the plans that Team Dixie have in mind going to end? They seem to keep outsmarting Bischoff and MVP and everybody against them every single week. And they did it again here. Sucks to see that happen, but, it is what it is, I suppose. After that, we get set for our main event, which is the third of 4 Bound for Glory series matches this week. It does get announced that Ec3 and Eric Young are going to be fighting on Explosion this week. So, of course, by process of elimination, that leaves James Storm and AJ Styles here tonight. Well, Styles still hasn't been seen yet in the building after the brutal Black Hole Slam on Thumbtacks at Slammiversary. So James Storm comes out and he's looking for the count-out victory. He says AJ Styles isn't here. He's still at home licking his wounds and nursing his supposed injuries. He says that he's been slammed on thumbtacks before and came back the next night to wrestle. But AJ Styles, the coward that he is, he's got to stay home and rest up and all that. So tell you what, referee, go ahead and give me that 10 count victory. Give me the count out victory. Let's just get this over with. I have bigger and better things to do. Referee gets to 5. That's when AJ Styles comes out. So it looks like we're going to have our match after all. Styles still kind of hurting. Still kind of seems like he's hurting just a little bit after that. After the pay-per-view, but he's out here ready for that matchup in the first round, so to speak, of the Bound for Glory series. 73 rated segment 2, by the way. The match itself gets a number. What number that is, I don't know. Because they didn't want to click it. Gets 75. Good stuff. Good main event. About that, great heat and good wrestling. AJ Styles defeats James Storm in 13-10 by pinfall with a Springboard 450 splash. 75 rating matchup. 80 from Styles. 62 from James Storm. Great matchup in the Bound for Glory series. And AJ Styles gets himself 3 points as the first round, first set of them, I guess, so to speak. Whatever, as it begins to come to an end. 75 rating there. Styles with that impressive victory in the main event of Impact. Afterwards, Styles gets jumped by James Storm and Bobby Roode, who comes running down. Dixie's kind of telling him to get down there and help beat up on Styles, because, of course, Styles is still against Team Dixie right now. So Beer Money's beating down AJ Styles when all of a sudden, surprisingly, the former X Division champion Sonata shows up. He is part of the Bound for Glory series. He lost to Bobby Roode last week on Impact in kind of a little bit of a cheaper way. He comes running down to make the save and help AJ Styles. Well, he doesn't really make the save as much. He comes running down, fights Beer Money. Beer Money still kind of gets an advantage there, but it gives AJ Styles enough of a break to kind of recover enough that Styles and Sonata together are kind of able to fight off Beer Money. And Styles and Sonata stand tall, despite the fact that they're kind of, Styles is kind of uncertain about Sonata there. I mean, obviously, after all, at some point in the Bound for Glory series, they're going to have to cross paths. But for now, they stand tall, like as Beer Money are yelling at them from the outside. So that's how Impact ends this week, with Sonata and AJ Styles standing tall in the middle of the ring. And that leads to a rating of a 73. Good stuff there. 28 regions, increase that popularity. Restrictions elsewhere. That is what it is. But yeah, really great show this week. Not fantastic, but it was still a really great show. Excited for what's to come, obviously. But as we quickly run things down then, at that point, that means that Chris Sabin, Bobby Roode, Johnny Impact, Homicide, and AJ Styles, all as of right now, have 3 points in the Bound for Glory series. And then we have the Eric Young and Ec3 match that's coming up here on Explosion that we'll look at when the game loads. And as for the other 6, well, technically whoever loses the Explosion match, the other 5 and then the unannounced 6 who have 0 points right now, they're gonna have a little bit of they're gonna have to do some coming back to get themselves in that top 4, because that's gonna be the main focus of the build to No Surrender in September, is getting in that top 4, because you're in that top 4, you compete at No Surrender for the chance to win the Bound for Glory series and get the shot at the X Division Championship, the X Division, get the shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at Bound for Glory. I have Destination X on the mind, clearly. So that is clearly a thing. That sounds about right. There's something popped up on there that sounds exactly about right for what it is. Anyway, where is... There we go. So, on Explosion this week, we had Jimmy Jacobs defeat Trevor Lee in a match. Medium had a promo. Rockstar Spud defeated Johnny Gargano in what was billed as a qualifier for the X Division Championship match. Actually, let me back that up really quick. So 3 of the matches here tonight were billed as X Division Ultimate X qualifier matches. Jimmy Jacobs defeating Trevor Lee is one of them. So Jacobs is now in the Ultimate X match. Rockstar Spud defeating Johnny Gargano is one. So now Spud is in the Ultimate X match. We had Gail Kim call out, or kind of issue an open challenge on Explosion, and gets answered by Serena Deeb. Gail defeats Serena. Then we had an angle with the Menagerie, hyping up the fact that Crazy Steve could end up in the Ultimate X match at Destination X. And the final qualifier for the Ultimate X match, Manic defeated Crazy Steve. So, the Ultimate X match stands as this. It is a 6-way Ultimate X match featuring Jay Lethal defending the championship against Brian Kendrick, against DJ Z, against Manic, against Rockstar Spud, and against Jimmy Jacobs. Should be a crazy matchup. We then had a promo from EC3 on the show, talking about Eric Young before his Bound for Glory series match tonight. We had Bad Influence pick up a victory over Lance Hoyt and Harry Smith. We named him the Killer Elite Squad. I named him Killer Elite Squad because the name was already in the game as such. Technically, they're not really known as the Killer Elite Squad at this point. We had an angle show happen with Kenny King and Chris Hero, where King was essentially pissed off about not being in a Ultimate X qualifier matchup, and Chris Hero came down to shut his mouth, and the two kind of fought at that point. And then in the main event, Eric Young defeated EC3 by pinfall to gain 3 points in the Bound for Glory series. So Eric Young also getting a victory in the Bound for Glory series, getting himself 3 points. So that is the end of the first round, first week, whatever you want to call it, of the Bound for Glory series. Overall, pretty good, pretty great stuff. Pretty great stuff indeed. I will definitely take it. Just because I might as well show you the thing I was kind of mentioning a little bit ago, where Brother Devon here in TNA already got popped as a steroid user. Of course he did. Of course he did. Anyway, Yeah, good stuff there for sure, as we have another successful week, and we will have to see what the future brings. We'll have to see. Next week we're going to have whatever Chris Sabin surprises. We'll have that. We may have Jeff Hardy versus Abyss. We'll have to see if the challenge ends up getting answered. So we may end up having Jeff Hardy versus Abyss. We'll have to see what the next round of the Bound for Glory series brings to us. You know, what kind of matches it ends up bringing our way. We'll obviously have to see what's going to happen in the fallout for Magnus having Samoa Joe show up during the matchup after all, despite the fact that Joe supposedly had an emergency and wasn't in the building. We'll have to see all about a lot of things. Curious to find out why Sonata helped out AJ Styles. Curious to see how a lot of these stories can end up continuing to play out. It's going to be an interesting thing. But I've been Sierra Daredevil, bringing you another week of our series. And I hope you guys enjoy. And we will see you guys next time.